Hello everyone, welcome back to Tittok, the mess that is my mind. I've got a guest, the one, the only, dopest girl I know.
Oh wow.
Nav Deep.
No one has used my full name in so long.
Nav Deep?
I had to think for a second.
Or Nav,
Yeah.
not to be confused with the rapper Nav.
I
do you want
have
to spit us a beat though, just to prove you're not
God.
Nav?
Yeah. I'm sure just this whole 2-second interaction.
You already know.
Yeah.
I want to hit on some topics like, moving, relationships, getting, more in touch with ourselves during the last year, and I think you've got some stuff to get off your chest.
Oh yeah, it's been a journey. It's been a crazy year, but much needed. So.
Nav and I met in school. It's her first time being on a podcast, and I wanted to talk to her a little bit about, life and, prior to when we met, during the time in which we were developing our friendship, and now that we've both sort of come into our own, and I won't say gone separate ways, but we're both sort of doing our own things in life, and we still merge together to... Yeah.
For sure, yeah. Oh, it's so nice to see where, we first met and where we both kind of ended up. Not saying that this is the end, but there's so much to, do and go through, and it's nice to just have, like-minded people, and it's positive,
and it's hard to come by, I'm sure, I know you're really close with some of your cousins. When I met you had a group of girls, because you lived with them.
Yeah.
And of course you were friends, but you would always be like, oh my gosh, these roommates are driving me crazy.
Yep.
This one girl's bitching to me about shoes and dishes and whatever.
Yeah.
So friends come in different shapes and forms, but
and they come and go. Those friends, they've left. They're not they're not a part of my life.
They've been long gone.
Yeah. And there's people like that, they come and go, and that's fine. They kind of realize what you don't want in a friend or people in your life, and...
It's funny, my grandma, who I was recording with last night, we sort of were talking about friendship, and after her, 8 decades on this planet, she's like, believe me, friends come and go, and it's not selfish to just let the ones go that simply don't serve you anymore.
Exactly.
It takes a lot of energy out of you to be around people that aren't not necessarily uplifting you, and people are gonna go through hard times or arguments, disagreements, and I have said before, it's important to have like-minded people, but also those that are gonna teach you something as well. So it's we're only 20 some odd years young, so we've got
a long time to go.
Yeah.
But different friends serve a different purpose, and if they're not serving the right purpose and maybe holding you back and bringing you down, that's kind of where you step back and walk away, which is there's nothing wrong with ever doing that, but it's better than sticking around and you said this in your, I think a couple podcasts ago, where you're I think the same thing applies to a friendship situation, but if you're the smartest person in the room, you're not in the right room. I feel like I feel like that can somewhat be applied to the friends and the people you're around. If they're not helping you grow and uplift you, you might not be with the right friends. And
totally. Well, and that's why I love you, and I think you're one of the dopest people I know, because you're we can have intellectual conversations, we can joke around. You just told me today that you deleted TikTok off of your phone because you just you're not about that anymore. You're not about the time that's wasted on that app. And I'm like, well, shit, then maybe I should not be spending so much time.
No, don't get me wrong, I miss it so much. The addiction is there. It's there. It's almost pathetic where I've gone to Instagram Reels to watch my TikToks because I need it so much.
You find your fix some other way.
Yeah. But I couldn't go cold turkey. It was hard.
Maybe that's your little vice. What would you say is your vice? You're not a big stoner or drinker.
I'm trying to figure out what it is now. You probably saw that big bag with paints and coloring books, and I'm trying to get in touch with my creative side again. I'm in graphic design and I do digital stuff, but you get so caught up with like clients in the corporate world, you're not really technically being as creative as you are. And it kind of sucks because I went into this like, oh, I get to be creative all the time, but it's not. You have to do what people want, and it's not complete creative freedom sometimes. So I'm trying to find my thing, you know. It would be cool if I was like, oh, you know, I was a stoner, or, you know, I could drink all the time, but I just don't find myself doing that a lot, and I need to find something. I don't know.
I know you mentioned you want to potentially get into microdosing shrooms, and it sort of goes into like the creative aspect, that, you know, the benefits that it could bring in that realm, you know.
For
and
sure.
I mean, have you looked into it? I know you're was it 35 segments or stigma or 35?
I actually have the pack here. I'll show it to you in a second. But it's called Schedule 35. Funny enough, I found them off of TikTok and then deleted the app. Yeah, and then deleted the app. But you know, I was reading a lot of reviews and like research, and like it's just enough to kind of get the creative juices flowing and help with the focus. And you know, in this pandemic too, you're not getting inspired. Like, I'm in Kitchener right now. There's nothing to be inspired by, and to get inspired, to get, you know, the creativity flowing. So I was kind of stuck for a really long time. So, you know, I started microdosing on and off. It's recommended to like take a little capsule every 3 days. I'm still waiting to see the impact. I've only taken it twice so far, so I'm hoping to, you know, update you again once.
Cool. I look forward to it.
Yeah.
I know I've always, you know, wanted to get into it, and I think you know, this Schedule 35 sort of makes it easy and like approachable. I think there's a few other brands out there that are similar, but you know, it's sort of pre-packaged, and those that haven't maybe even you know, eaten, you know, magic mushrooms, you know, it's just sort of a nice stepping stone if it's something that they're interested in.
For sure. Like, I've been wanting to try, you know, magic mushrooms for a really long time, but, you know, I like a lot of people say, or even, you know, if it's meant to be, it'll come, you know, the opportunity will come up itself, and, you know, I'll take it then. And I just felt stuck for a while, and, you know, I don't want to be someone that's on medication. I think we both feel the same way. Just if there's herbal ways to do it, it's a great way to figure it out. So, you know, I'm giving this a try and see where it goes.
Yeah, and I mean, taking it back to the, you know, the creative piece, I know, you know, when we met in school and we were, you know, able to sort of have our own creative spin on each project, you know, we were still able to sort of like satisfy our own personal like creative objectives. But now that you're doing a lot of, you know, in the real world graphic design, you're there to please the client and give the client what they want, and you might think it's
ugly, I hate it,
horrible. You might not want to put it in your portfolio. You know, but it's you know, you're remaining focused on like your goal, and that's sort of putting out creative stuff in the world. And you know, I think you're not giving yourself enough credit, because a year and a half ago, you were still in school.
Yeah.
Now you're making money. You have clients on the side. You're well on your way to like doing the like, you know, traditional art stuff again. You know, you set the intention, you got the stuff.
Yeah, it's been sitting there for 2 weeks, but
you have it. You have it. So now you have to just, when you ever find the 5 minutes, or, you know, just tell yourself, to me, it's getting set up, you know? It's like, okay, once I'm set up, I'm gonna be in the mood to do it. But then it's like, just getting it all set up.
Yeah, just getting up and doing it. That's where I feel like TikTok was getting in the way, because, you know, like, if you have that spare 5 minutes or a couple of hours, it's so easy to get attached and just sit there scrolling and not get anything done. It gives you that dose of
dopamine.
Yeah. And it's quick, and it's fast, and it's easy.
I'd rather get my dopamine elsewhere, but no, it's true. It's addicting, and I think that's a global pandemic on its own. Is just the toxicity that's, you know, seeping into our minds unknowingly, just by taking in social media. I saw a post that really resonated with me, and it's like, the faster you're scrolling is as fast as you're trying to like disassociate or sort of distract yourself. Like, the faster you're scrolling is as bad as you want to sort of distract yourself.
Oh God, don't
right?
even get me started on that.
Right? Because there's times when I'm just like, what am I doing?
The attention span is gone.
What am I actually doing? And it's funny, my boyfriend's, he's like, the sound that comes out of somebody's phone when they're watching Instagram Reels or TikToks is schizophrenic.
Oh,
the
God,
sound.
You're right, because it's like not even 3 seconds of one video, and it's on to the next one.
And you're, if you're just sort of sitting back watching somebody on their phone, you're just like, what is this? What is going on? It's insane.
This is where we've come. It started a year ago.
But thank you for listening or watching Tittok.
Yeah, this is nice.
I hope that, like, it sort of, gets your mind sort of going, and you're thinking about, insightful things or just thought-provoking things, or maybe these are just, adding to your opinions on topics. But nonetheless, I think I want to, get back into, not that I want to get right into microdosing, but I do love the power of, like, shrooms and natural medicine, and I think right now we're all going through, like, our own journeys of not really depression, but just, like, really having to rely on ourselves in this time. And I've spoken about how I'm really strong individually, and that's nice, that's great, but there are still, like, dark moments that I have during this pandemic, and I know, I was working, and now I'm not working, and I'm trying to, be on a schedule and a routine, and I know you've gone through a lot of changes in the last year, especially, like...
For sure, like, I was not working for a really long time, and, now I'm working, but it was, like, the hardest year, especially, if you're stuck living with your parents. Like, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to it, but it's not great, you're stuck in this environment, you're not really getting out, and you might not be with the people that are, healthy, so it's easy to get stuck and not have that schedule for yourself and have that hope. But, I feel like once you have a little bit of change, it's kind of hopeful, and it gets you out of stuff, so it's nice. And
what's, like, I'm sure you can think back to, being in your room, your old room, like, just like you said, feeling stuck, like, really, really just not, the job that you have now currently, at the college where we met, you were hesitant on whether or not to take it, but then you sort of realized that it was the ticket to sort of maybe get you unstuck.
Yeah.
And that's, now that I'm vocalizing it, that's exactly how I felt about taking the RBC internship. Because as much as I'm like, I don't want to work at a bank. Work at a bank. I'm like the most creative, artsy-fartsy, flare pants kind of person. Me working at a bank, I'm good, thank you. Took a few days for me to realize, oh no, this is my magic ticket out of here. And so it's kind of just, like, timing worked out. The internship fell in my hands. Like, a lady sort of was like, no, Jen, you really should apply, and she really pushed me to apply. Andrea really pushed you to get the job. And so, like, why, how did you sort of go from unstuck to just sort of being like, fuck it, really?
It came down to a point where I was sitting in that room, miserable every day, not getting a job, not being where I wanted to be, and not even mentally, but physically not being in the place I want to be. I had these goals. I wanted to, eventually be in Toronto at some point and just be out of, just the home I was living in. So, I thought about it. I was like, I don't want to be in Kitchener. I don't want to be living here. I don't, what if I don't like this job? And all these doubts and, like, cons that I was, like, telling myself. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm not getting anything right now. Like, I have nothing. So, I took the chance. I commuted for, like, a couple of months, and I did the job, and you know what, it's fine. I don't hate it. It gets me money, and it got me out of, I have my own place now, which is really nice, and it was so worth it because, moving forward, this could be my next ticket to what I actually want, and move on to that next step. Because maybe if I didn't do this, it wouldn't have helped me reach the actual goal I want. So Yeah, so it'll look great on my resume. It's a great reference, so it'll get me something even better in the near future.
Yeah. And yeah, it's sort of like it's all about where you put your body. That's something I came, to this weird realization. But yeah, you just sort of have to put, your body into a physical place, and then just sort of hope for the best. Like if, if you're moving cities, or if you're like nervous to like do a presentation at work or something, you just sort of physically show up and like do your best. And, if you're not in an environment that's serving you, takes away from so much. And then if you just find yourself scrolling really, really fast to distract yourself from being in this place that you hate, it's just this cycle of just
100%
stuck.
And relating back to TikTok, but there was this post I saw, I think the first week I moved out, and it was, I think I posted it on one of my accounts.
Instagram.
Yeah, and it was you can't outgrow the person you are in the environment. I have to find it now. It's something like that.
No, please do, because I tried to bring this up on the episode with my grandma, and I'm like, it's not a direct quote, I have no idea, but something along the lines of, you need to move away from your home.
Yeah, okay.
Your childhood home.
Okay, here it is. Reasons why it's important to move away from your hometown or your parents' house in order to achieve a great amount of success is because you cannot really figure out who you want to be in an environment that produces a version of yourself that you're trying to outgrow. And that like struck a nerve. Well, not a nerve, but like
it just stuck. Like
it stuck with me, and I'm like, yeah, like that's what I need. There's so many things, we're humans, and we always want to change and be better and all that kind of stuff. And so much I was trying to do that in that environment, there's only so much I can do. And
yeah, and I mean, I had to get out of Kitchener, and not that I don't love coming back here, and like this, it's a part of, my grandma, she moved out of a really small village in Manitoba when she was 11, and she's like, you can never take the small town out of me, and then we joked, like you'll never be able to take the Kitchener out of me, and I think Kitchener gets a bad rap. I mean, there's really nothing special about it, but it's like, there's like it's home. Yeah. It's where we went to college. It's cozy. It's compact. You know, I don't know. It's
like the same way, like, Brampton is somewhere I needed to outgrow. Kitchener was a place for you to outgrow and leave.
And as much as you're still in that, like, screw my hometown, screw, that environment, you will, like, the time away will make you sort of appreciate, and even, what we were saying about, like, our relationships that we're in. It's almost like we're hyper focused on the bad things sometimes at the time away, and then you go back and you're like, you're not really that bad. Kitchener's kind of cute,
you're like, the mind, it does so many things to you where, like, it just is like, great, like, let's forget about the great shit and let's hyper focus on the bad. And I genuinely forget the good stuff, and it's so bad because, like, who wants to live in constant negativity and thought patterns? But it's hard to change it, and I'm very guilty of sort of defaulting to the negative at first too, and but I think it's so important to leave your hometown, find yourself, but also if you find yourself wanting to move back, or if you find that place served a purpose, then that's totally cool too. But you gotta push yourself. Even when I went to Ryerson and lived in Toronto for the first time for a couple months right before I met you, I almost look back on that time and I wonder, like, what if I stayed? Like, what if I just, like, sort of, persevered? Not in regards to education, because I know for sure that university program was not the right fit for me, but just, like, what if at that age I had stayed in Toronto and, like, developed, like, I maybe would have never met you. Like, your life can take so many directions, but you have to sort of, take that chance and outweigh the pros and cons. And, if you feel stuck, and at that time I did feel stuck, and I do think I made the right decision, but,
you just gotta persevere and push forward, because you get one life, you know.
As much as, like, I'm guilty of, like, fantasizing, like, what if I didn't have this person, or, like, this situation, like, oh, maybe my life would be easier, and I'm sure you can relate to that, like, if you didn't have to deal with certain situations, and it's kind of like, I wouldn't be the person who I am today if I didn't go through that or deal with that, so.
Totally.
It's easier said than done, but, like, eventually at some point, we'll always look back and be like, you know what, maybe I'm grateful, not grateful, but this all shaped who I am, and
drop some Wilma wisdom. It's a reason, a season, or a lifetime, right? And you know, reasons, lessons, you know, people can bring out the best in you and the worst in you, and, you know, same with environments too, and whatnot, but no, you know, and you can't close the door on Toronto, you know, because Kitchener's just a stepping stone. Exactly like you said, you know, you're still going to keep, you know, putting in the work to find a job in the city, and, you know, you know for a fact that you'll
I'll
move
end up
there.
Yeah, I know it.
So, you know, but you had to put in the step to get unstuck from where you were, and then, you know,
I'll go from there.
Yeah. And you're thriving. Like, you're thriving.
I am.
I love you, Nav.
Oh, I love you too.
And, you know, lots of other people love us, including our partners.
Yeah.
You know, we're both in relationships. You've got your 4-year.
Yeah, coming up in, what's today, 3 days?
Today's Wednesday.
It's coming up on Friday.
Yeah.
That's,
your longest, you know.
And my only relationship, and it's my first relationship, my only relationship, my longest relationship, so there's a lot of, you know, pressure on that too.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I mean, you met in college. You were both, you know, you're still growing up, and
for sure
grew up together, and
I met him in the same place I met you, and
what a beautiful place.
Yeah, and I'm back here again.
You can't leave because
the universe keeps on sending me back.
You're just like a magnet you're just pulled back all the time. You can only get so far before you're pulled right back.
Right? Crazy.
No, as much as they say, you know, be single in your 20s and focus on yourself, I think, and I can admit I'm more of a relationship kind of person. I was in my first relationship when I was in grade 9, when I was 14 years old, you know, with some, like, stoner boy.
Wow.
Yeah. And eventually I said, see you later, boy, but there was some dad jokes. I'm such a father figure when it comes to my humor. I've had my fair share of relationships, and I think I'm in one now that's serving me well and teaching me lots, and you know, I'm really, you know, grateful for the man that I'm with, not just because of the times that we're in, but because you know, I think I'm adding to his life, and vice versa, and you know, although you met at a young age and you've, you know, driven each other crazy, you know, you can still come out better on the other end, and, you know, sure. You mentioned, like, the pressure on, like, the first relationship, and, you know, I know I've spoken to my first relationship being very toxic, and, you know, it's not always, like, a toxic scenario, but
there are moments that can be, because you're young and stupid and you don't know better.
and there's so many influences that go into it. I've seen my relationships go from, like, I had a relationship where, you know, Instagram, I think, like, barely even existed, or people weren't even using it. Like, in grade 9, I 2009. What apps were popular in 2009? That's when I was in grade 9.
Stop. I was
6 years old?
No, I was like, what, like 11, 12, 13, I don't know, 12 or 13, I don't know. So,
like, I've seen, you know, now even in my relationship, like, my partner has a big following, and I'm just always like, you know, why, you know, who's this new follower, you know, like, and you can't live so like that.
Yeah. But it's so hard to, you know, when you've dealt with it so much, it's gonna be in the back of your head.
Totally.
It's gonna nag you, and
like,
oh God, yeah.
and I think that's how, like, a lot of times too, and I'm not just saying women, I know for a fact men do this too, but, like, hyper focus on the bad, you know, and that was never the case decades ago when social
Yeah.
media
Oh,
didn't
God.
exist, and I'm 25. I would have had a family of 15 by now. Like it wouldn't have, wouldn't have been the case. So I'm just, yeah, I know. Just in general, men are.
There's something else, that's for sure.
There's something else. I mean, so are women, but I think relationships right now in 2021 come in every shape and size.
Yeah.
Long distance,
Yeah.
old and young.
For sure. I like, getting into a relationship that's that young, it's so easy to lose yourself and get consumed. But, I'm not gonna lie, in the early stages, it's like, oh, the honeymoon phase, and you're obsessed with each other and addicted, and I think that's normal for every relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, what was different for my relationship, we were kind of long distance for a while, and,
Mm-hmm.
I was in a situation where I couldn't always go and see him, but at the same time that, like, we missed out on all this time, I'm so grateful for that time, because I got to focus on me a lot.
Totally.
Like, he was still a part of my life and there, but just I didn't get consumed.
Mm-hmm.
And I witnessed people get consumed, and it sucks to see, but, like, it happens and people outgrow it sometimes. But, like, I'm glad I never got consumed, and I kind of always had that time to myself and
Mm-hmm.
have my alone time and do my own thing and figure out who I am and still grow. And we both grow separately, and then when we're together, we're not the same people. We're not the same people when we met at 17.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you'd hope so. And 3 years from now, 4 years from now, onward,
Mm-hmm.
we're all gonna change, and that's what you want. Like, it's, for me, it's almost, the times where I've been in, like, healthy situations, healthy relationships, and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. It's almost like, oh, this is what it's all about. Like, I didn't even realize. Like, it's, relationships are work, but they're also easy, and you have to put in your own individual work, and then when you come together to sort of ultimately support each other,
Yeah.
uplift each other, that's the ideal scenario.
Yeah.
And then if it's really important for me to, like, have someone that makes me laugh, and obviously being with a comedian, that's quite convenient.
Yeah.
But I like, what's and he also encourages me to, like, have my alone time and do really good things in
Yeah.
that time, and I pick up that your partner's the same, and
Yeah.
how lucky are we, right? Because I've been in relationships where that's not the case, and I drop all of my personal things to be at. I can remember times when I, like, after school, would just be, like, at the skate park watching my boyfriend and all of his
Skater
friends
boy.
skate around, and I would just, what the hell was I doing?
You gotta experience that too,
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I was young, and
yeah.
granted, like, what I had been through in my childhood, I just sort of, like, I loved the having that, like, commitment and attention from a man, because I didn't have my father in my life for so long, and I mean, I obviously still don't, but I just sort of wanted to feel normal, right, and
Yeah.
feel sort of, like, included. So I felt like that was what
You got to.
girls wanted to have a boyfriend. That's
Yeah.
what the movies told me, or
Yeah.
something like that. So I guess that's what I should do, right? So I fell into that really quickly, and you got to try things on for size too. But also, if
Yeah.
you luck out on round one, then good for you. I'm jealous, because guys have put me through hell, and if you
I'm
can
so
find
sorry,
a good
yeah.
one to start off with, then
Yeah, and I mean,
your first love doesn't always have to be toxic. I know I've
Yeah.
mentioned that before, but it's always a learning lesson.
Yeah, and not every relationship is perfect, and in no way has our relationship been perfect either. Like, a lot of work, and like,
Mhm.
it's been a lot of hard stuff too. But I've told you this, where, like, you gotta purge and let all the toxic shit, just everything just come out, and then just have a little bit of that fresh start, and like it helps, because I fell into this pattern of, like, codependency and
Mhm.
emotionally depending on someone, for other reasons. Our parents do really shape, I mean, like, even, like, if they're there or not there, like, they're, like, our beginning stages of, like, life and social life, and depending on how that goes, it really does shape, like, our reactions and relationships in the future. So it's crazy. I never really knew, like, not to, like, sound negative about myself, but you never know how much is wrong with you until you get into that relationship and you're like
there's something wrong with all of us.
Yeah, and you realize, oh, there's like, okay, this is what I do that is kind of toxic and I need to work on. And if I didn't get into a relationship, I would have never known. I could have been in my 30s, single, toxic, and then when I need to settle down, I'm like,
I'm totally fucked up.
Yeah, I'm so fucked.
Well, and I mean, things get heightened and intensified in relationships, right? Like I'm often guilty of running away. I know for a fact I need to have that moment to collect my thoughts and sort of like chill out, be rational, communicate appropriately and respectfully. But also, I have a tendency of just like running away and being like, screw this, I don't want to deal with this problem. I'm freaking out of here. And that gets nothing solved either. So, my boyfriend, he's on, like, not a fan of the, like, not dealing with things. Not that I can't have my moment to, like, calm down and be rational. He'd love to give me that time to be rational. Take all the time you need to be rational. He doesn't want to deal with me in any other form. But, like, if you don't, it's about compromise, and as much as I had to just sort of sit there and just deal with it, we came out better on the other side. And he's sort of like, okay, Jennifer, like, this is how I want to, like, now, this is how we're going to go communicating this issue right now. And it was appropriate, and, it's a learning process, but.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta stick out and do the shit that's uncomfortable and you hate and you don't want to do, and, like, compromise, you gotta stick out and do the crappy things that are easier to not deal with.
Or like what you said, like, get all the shit out, like all the pent up stuff you have. Because I just did. As soon as he was like, okay, let's sit down and deal with it, I'm like, well, if you're gonna sit me down and trow me in here, then okay, I'll just get it all out then.
Yeah, but don't you feel so much lighter after?
Of course. Yeah. Like, literally went to bed after. Like, good night. Like, I feel great now. Good night.
Yeah, it helps.
Weightless, yeah. Yeah, but no, I learned a lot from my friends, partner, grandma, dog. Everyone serves a purpose.
For sure.
Truly. When are you getting a dog? When are you getting an animal? You have a cat.
Yeah, I live with 2 cats. It's definitely getting used to it. I'm like, I had a dog in my family
Buddy,
home. Yeah, Buddy. Oh my god, did I tell you, when I go back to my parents, he gets super excited. Okay, like, and then within like 2 seconds, he remembers that I was gone, and he gives me the cold shoulder, doesn't come near me, like, turns his back, faces the corner, and then like an hour later he forgets, and then he's like all happy and excited again. But breaks my heart every time I go back. And he's a good dog.
Because they know what's good. Yeah. Like, they spend so much time, and then they're just, I mean, even today, Lion, I've left him at my grandma's, so, like, a couple weekends ago, he was there overnight. So now he's watching my every move. Like, are you about to leave me?
Oh, no.
Will you be gone for an extended period of time? Like, just...
Little guy.
They're too smart.
They're too smart. And I read this a lot, they don't have a concept of time, so they think you're gone for a lot longer than you actually are. It's heartbreaking.
I wish we didn't have a concept of time, honestly. That would be ideal.
Yeah. But actually, with this pandemic, it feels like that. To me, at least. Like, I feel like I have no concept of time. Like, I don't know what day of the week it is half the time. I don't know what time of the day it is.
And I will gladly sign a petition to stop this time change from going forward. Like, I'd rather it stay lighter, longer, all year round.
Yeah.
And let's just keep it this way.
Let's keep it this way. What's the point? I still don't understand it. There's a lot of things I don't understand in how this world works.
No, and so many cons to, like, the time change, too. And I'm still recovering, like, sleep schedule-wise. I don't even know when to sleep, like, when my body could fall asleep for 12 hours right now, but that's not okay.
Yeah.
It's not okay. Schedule 35 microdose. Each Schedule 35 pill is microloaded with 100 milligrams of psilocybe cubensis, a precise dosage that will unlock your creativity and help you take on your most daunting tasks. This is for the ones looking to disrupt their own status quo. We got you. Very cool.
It goes. I think it's also, like, making the effort to kind of get into that headspace. You can't just, nothing works magically.
No, not even magic mushrooms. Well, I mean, technically. So there's 5 in here. Each of these are 200 milligrams.
Yeah. So that one's 200. This is 100.
Mm-hmm.
I've been starting off with the ones that are
every 3 days.
Yeah. Oh, I also bought the 5 Defender.
Cool.
And I've been taking them every day.
I like it, yeah. Oh, you got 2 of them. You got the immune one and then lion's mane.
Yeah,
nice.
for cognitive. Have had like really bad memory. Really bad.
Well, yeah, and like so do I, like, cuz I mean the mind is so powerful. It can like block out shit, but also smoking weed for as long as I have, not that I don't love cannabis, but I will attest to the fact that it fucks with your memory.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe I don't have very like you know, depending on what the task is, like if I really have to, like if I have a job where I have to sit down and focus for like 8 hours, like it's been so long since I've had to do that.
Yeah.
I'm fearful of that scenario and having to sort of, you know, not that I'm not a hard worker, but just really having to like sit down and like, even if I were to have to write an essay or something, I'd be like, holy shit, like this is gonna be a whole like yeah.
I haven't done that since high school. I can't even.
Neither have I, but like even just like working with an Excel spreadsheet, like I get into like a rhythm and I can do that, but it's just so redundant and like I don't have the attention span for it. A lot of people don't.
Yeah.
So if I can turn to like some sort of natural remedy for that as well, then worth a shot, right?
Yeah. This is like apparently great for like focus and, you know, creativity.
Very cool. Very cool. No, I think because I peeked at the website when you sent me the link. It's I didn't know that there was like little capsules in each thing, but that I might even look into this because it's $55 or $60 for like the starter pack. I think it is,
and it has like the different levels and amounts of dosage, so might be good. I thought I'd give this a try and then maybe get the starter pack, and then you know if it happens, one day I can take a higher dosage and explore my mind.
It's I think too a lot of people with drugs, it's like the fear of the unknown, or they think they're gonna you know, trip balls, and you know, you have to like approach it in like a correct way, like doing the right dosage, and it's helpful to, you know, have someone who's knowledgeable about it, of course, but
I think
it's important.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what, if I were to do shrooms, I'd do it with Jen. I would like do it around you. I feel like I trust you to have that person in my space, and
I think out of all the drugs to do, it is shrooms. I mean, there's so many, you know, especially like chemical and like man-made things that really, I think they're so overhyped. The Adderall, the cocaine, the Xanax, and things like that I think are sort of trendy right now. I think are, they might serve their purpose like temporarily, but people have been doing shrooms for centuries, and it's medicine from the earth.
Exactly.
This product has vegan and organic ingredients, a long-release formula. Morning contains psilocybe cubensis.
So this is what it is. I guess it's just magic mushrooms.
Psilocybe cubensis is a species of psychedelic mushrooms whose principal active compounds are psilocybin and psilocybin. Remind me to never become a scientist.
Yeah.
Commonly called shrooms, magic mushrooms, golden tops, cubes, or gold caps. It belongs to the fungus family. Cool. Schedule 35. Microdose psilocybe cubensis. Each Schedule 35 pill is microloaded with 200 milligrams of psilocybe cubensis, a precise dosage that aims to re-spark your creativity and help you lock in on your most daunting tasks. This isn't Bradley Cooper's Limitless pill, but it damn sure comes close. Visit schedule35.com for more information, and don't forget to use code Tittok for 10% off. Well, thank you now for being here. I just want to say peace and love to you, and peace and love to whoever was listening. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can do all the things that I usually tell you to do, but go do something for yourself and go microdose some shrooms, guys. All right?
Yeah.
Peace and love.
Peace
See
and
you
love.
next week when I have more stuff to get off of these tits.